Welcome everyone. In this brief tutorial, we're going to go over a little more detail about the metacognitive cycle that was described briefly in our announcement. What that really means is that there's a cycle related to learning and the learning process, and this is something that we can apply anytime we're doing an assignment, whether it's at work, at home, for school. This is something we can use for lifelong learning. So the 5 steps that were described in our announcement, we're going to take them and apply them directly to creating our next assignment. That is our first narrative draft. So you see I have up here our essay guidelines and rubric for the narrative draft. This is something that we'll be referring to often as we put this assignment together this week. So the first step of this cycle is to assess the task. What that really means is to make sure that we understand what's being asked of us. Oftentimes, this is something that's overlooked, especially by students who have earned straight A's throughout high school or perhaps have been told over and over again that their writing is excellent. They often will overlook what is actually being asked for in a narrative essay, and they might write an essay about anything, any old story, that might not really relate to what this assignment is looking for. So step 1 is to look at this task, assess it, and make sure you understand what's actually being asked of you. So here in our first draft, we are looking for something that is being written in a narrative approach. But this is more than just telling a story. Really, we need to look carefully and see that this essay needs to express a significant point and use our experience as evidence to demonstrate that point and the lasting realization. If you're missing these pieces, it will definitely impact your narrative draft grade. Another area that's often overlooked is that there's a specific prompt here for this essay. So sometimes we see very good narratives that are turned in, but they might not actually address the prompt that was given for the assignment. So step 1, again, look very carefully at what is being asked. If you need to see the prompt, you can find it in this assignments and guidelines and rubric. You can also find it in section 2.02 of our e-learning material. That way, when you write your essay, it's something that is relevant to the essay question that is being asked. So once you have an understanding of what we're really looking for in this assignment, you can move on to step 2, and that's evaluating your own knowledge, which can be a little bit difficult because sometimes we want to give ourselves quite a bit of credit, but maybe there's a component that we're missing. So it's a good idea to come back to the e-learning material. I recommend going back to modules 1, 2, and 3. And in the very beginning of those modules in the e-learning material, if you come down on the first page, you'll find the module learning objectives. This is a very good tool for evaluating your knowledge and completing step 2 of this cycle. Make sure that you understand each of these objectives, and if you're missing one, if one is a little fuzzy, you can either return to the module material to brush up on it, or you can post to our general questions forum and get feedback about it. But it's a good idea to address your knowledge of each of these before we move on to writing this paper. Step number 3 is planning. Planning includes time management, so really be honest with yourself and let yourself know how long will it usually take me to write a paper that's going to be 2 to 3 pages, and it has to include all of these components. If I know that I usually take a while, maybe I should give myself a few extra days. That way I don't feel pressured. Also keep in mind that since we are using an online platform, it's a good idea to plan a little bit ahead just in case you run into technical glitches. You don't want to be scrambling at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night trying to turn it in. So plan ahead, make sure you give yourself plenty of time, and start applying. That is step 4, applying the material and all that you know about the assignment to actually put it together. So create an outline for yourself. Make sure that each of these areas in the rubric are going to be addressed in your paper. And once you have a solid outline that you know for a fact includes all of these areas, go ahead and start writing your first draft. Once that draft is done, don't forget step 5 of our cycle. Step 5 is reflecting. So before you turn it in, go ahead and read it over and be honest with yourself. Did you make sure that you did include all of these elements? Have you met all of these critical areas? And if you're missing any, did you plan for enough time to return and fix those before turning in the paper? So, those are the 5 steps for the learning cycle. They can definitely help you build a stronger first draft, and a strong first draft usually leads to a much stronger second draft as well.